This film is part of a worldwide breast cancer awareness campaign, including a mobile app for illiterate women. www.DearMamma.org.
Cancer doesn't care if you're black or you're white. Cancer doesn't care if you're Christian or you're Jewish or you're Muslim.
It's an illness that doesn't discriminate.
And it most definitely helped that I received so much support and attention.
I discovered I had breast cancer when I was 4 months pregnant with my youngest daughter.
It was a complete surprise. I wasn't ready.
I thought I was going to die. I didn't think I was going to live.
This film collects the voices of women living with breast cancer in Africa, the Middle East and Europe. Starting point was a workshop at the Dead Sea with Jewish, Muslim and Christian women. From there we moved on and talked to doctors, nurses and husbands. Join us on our journey.
There are indeed a lot of women who come here with signs of breast problems. We see about 2 cases a week. The women are often just coming in for a checkup. They don't know there's anything wrong with them. I was taking a shower one day and I felt a lump in my breast. It was small at first and then gradually it became bigger. One day I mentioned it during a conversation with my little sister, who's a nurse. She advised me to go to the clinic.
When the disease started, she came to tell me that it seemed she had breast cancer. A lot of people think that cancer is a disease that cannot be treated. That's what I knew. It was through television that I knew about cancer at all. It was through my wife's illness that I learned that breast cancer existed. I myself had never heard of it.
When I was in the shower, I felt a huge lump here, up there, not lower, in the middle.
I went to the doctor. He said it was a fat mass and there's nothing there. I had a gut feeling it was cancer.
I was diagnosed in 2000, 15 years ago. The disease really loves me. It comes from here, goes there, then there, then there. And I say to all the doctors, I want you to kill it while it's small.
I discovered the disease on my own. There was a change in my body and I discovered it. So I went to the clinic for an X-ray image.
When I was 50, I went for a mammography. And when, 3 days later, I was invited to see a breast surgeon, I knew I had cancer without checking any further.
To be brief, it was discovered in a self-examination, unintentional. I thought I was feeling something. It took me a couple of months to get it checked up, and my life was transformed overnight.
For us, you are heroes. We are just the helpers in all of this. And by sharing your story today and tomorrow, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of women worldwide, they will discover that they have breast cancer in a much earlier stage. And most important, they will have role models like you so that they see we can talk openly about it. So this was really the starting point of the DearMamma breast cancer awareness campaign. I realized that in the poor countries, women just don't know anything about breast cancer. Particularly illiterate women or very poor women, they have no clue that it is a deadly disease if it is not being treated.
Each day we're reborn. I chose a white hat because, first of all, I'm optimistic in nature. Furthermore, it has a wide brim, which symbolises the wide shoulders we need to develop with this disease.
The hat reminded me of a journey. It's the colour of a safari hat. A journey is also a meeting place, a place for meeting people so they can talk, exchange information, so that they can strengthen each other. I think one of our goals today is to strengthen each other and tell our stories.
I went through surgery, then I was treated with very heavy chemotherapy treatment, and with everything around, it helped. Thank you.
I went through 5 surgeries in 1 year while taking care of my mother at the same time. Mum was diagnosed too. This is my mum, Fanny. She was diagnosed when I was pregnant with my first daughter in 2000. In 2013, we got hospitalized together. We went through the disease, the hospitalizations, the surgeries, the chemotherapy. All of it, we went through it together. And I'm here so she can be strong and we complement each other. I love you.
I'm here. I have cancer, so what? I want to be happy. This hat makes me very happy. It also makes music, which is funny. I want to dance with you, with God's help, and be happy with you.
If I could call my fellow women all over the world, so I would encourage them, first of all, to overcome shame. To overcome shame when it relates to being examined by somebody else. Overcome shame of sharing the story, first of all, with a caregiver, because we know that the success rate depends on early diagnosis. So if a woman waits because she's ashamed to tell, because she's ashamed to disclose that she has a problem, she's ashamed to go to a medical institution or to a physician, she's hurting herself.
The diagnosis of the disease is a protection to get treatment. It is not a cause for shame.
Early detection is the secret for cure. If we are late in detection, chances for advanced disease and death increase dramatically.
We as Jews believe that every human being was created in God's image and has received a body and a soul that is of tremendous value. Therefore, the Holy Torah, our Bible, teaches us that we are obligated to care about our own bodies, as is written, "V'nishmartem me'od lenafshotechem," you shall take great care to preserve your life.
Cancer is initially seen as a crab. Crabs are animals that move around everywhere. When cancer is located in an organ and is not treated, its natural evolution is first to invade the organ in which it formed, before spreading to other organs in the body. But some organs are more predisposed to it. If we take breast cancer as an example, it tends to spread to secondary locations in the lung, liver and bones. These are the three main secondary sites. But there are other secondary sites that can be affected too, and we call this metastasis. So it's the time we allow the cancer to develop that enables it to take control of the body and spread to various organs.
When I was told to go for ultrasounds, it was more than 10 days before I could go for the ultrasound. I brought the results back to the doctor, and he told me to get the pus removed from the lump and to bring it to him. Here too, it took more than a month before I was able to do it. I went to see him again and was told to go to Shifra, another hospital. There the doctor said that we will have to remove the breast. And again, for lack of financial means, it took some time before I could get the operation. All in all, it took about 5 months to have the operation. I thought I was going to die. I did not think I was going to live.
The question no doctor wants to answer is, am I going to die? That's the question we often hear. And the problem with the women here is that if they think they're going to die from their breast cancer, they won't come back again. They'll leave and tell themselves that it's all over, so they won't come back for treatment. But we carefully explain to them that while it is a serious illness, it's an illness that can be treated. There are essentially 3 types of treatment: surgery, chemotherapy, and radiotherapy. There are other treatments known as targeted therapy that richer, better organized countries use, but which we do not have access to.
It's very important to know that the treatment is usually not just surgery or just chemotherapy or radiation therapy. It's usually a combination of different modalities. Today, the aim of our treatment is to try to treat as simple as possible.
Every woman that has cancer, it's so much better for her if it's diagnosed early. So if she hears it from a friend or from a relative and she approaches a medical facility earlier or a physician earlier, her chances are much better. It's so important, and this is in our hands to share it with others.
I encourage patients to ask specific questions to understand their illness. Because if they themselves understand the disease, they can be a source of information to those around them. Neighbors, acquaintances, they all will give their support. Even if it isn't financial support, moral support, encouragement, advice, all this helps a lot to live with the disease.
Of course I informed my husband. When I had to go for the operation, I informed the neighbors, the members of the choir in which I sing. I informed everyone. I informed all my acquaintances, and they all encouraged me to have the operation. They said that I will be healthy and that I will be happy.
That's it, indeed. The whole family and relatives were made aware, and they paid us visits to encourage and support us.
After the operation, I had quite a few people who visited me, who took time to chat with me. All the people around me, my parents, my brothers and sisters, nobody rejected me. Some even came to spend the day with me and chat with me to comfort me.
There are people who say that it is not easy to have cancer. They speak badly. But with the support of other people, we have found that this is something that is going to pass.
No one knew about my disease besides my family members at home, my husband and my children. Even my married daughters didn't know. I didn't tell my uncle, I didn't tell my mother, I didn't tell my sisters. I told them I wasn't feeling well, but I didn't tell them exactly what it was. I wasn't ashamed of the disease or of being ill. I just didn't want them to worry. I didn't want them to be sad because of me. You might say I avoid thinking about it because this is my way to cope.
Sometimes when you sit with people, you don't know what goes on with them. Also, in this world, there are many people who hide or don't talk. But I sometimes talk when I see people who talk about other diseases. They talk about other diseases, but there's always fear regarding cancer.
They don't tell cancer, and they don't say saratan. They would say that sickness. Or they would say, like, it's something very far. It should be very far. It won't come to us. And it's a taboo. We don't talk about it.
You know, the neighbor has the disease. As if there's only one disease in the world and that's it. They couldn't pronounce the word cancer. It was so... And when I got to the oncology department and saw so many, I said, where were they all hiding? I felt like they came out of their holes. I saw him and her and him, and everyone was there, people of all ages, and it's really sad.
The fact that I'm able to talk about my illness and the journey that this illness has put me on, I do feel free. I feel free from secrets.
It's healthy to let it go, to share it with friends, with caregivers, with doctors, with a priest or an imam, whoever, and talking about it. That's what we have learned from the women who were affected by breast cancer, that as soon as they shared that they are ill, that they shared that they have fears and worries, what will happen to my children after me, that they feel so much better.
If I don't feel like talking about it, I can say no. But it really does give me a lot of freedom, and it makes me feel good to be able to share and possibly save lives by sharing.
Advanced societies have screening programs. And I assume this is not the case in every part of the world. Screening programs means that it starts from self-screening.
Learning how to regularly perform a breast self-examination should not be seen as a shameful or immodest act, but rather as every woman's religious duty to preserve her own life and detect cancer early.
Every woman should examine herself. Not daily, but every few days, every week, every month at least.
The hands are placed behind the head like this. Then we try and feel the quadrants. We divide the breast into 4 parts and feel each quadrant to check for any lumps. Then the arm is put like this, so we can feel for any problems.
All I can do is tell my friends and the ones close to them to check their breasts regularly, and if they feel a knot, to go to the hospital. If it turns out to be cancer, an early detection can not only result in a better treatment, but also can hinder the spreading of the disease. That's the solution, because if it spreads, it's difficult to treat.
I make the women aware of the fact that they can be looked after here. Breast cancer is something that needs to be prevented, at home, even elsewhere. I tell all female friends to check themselves, because it's an illness that's not easy to treat.
But the real thing is really that women don't care enough about themselves. They care for their children, they care for their husbands, for the whole family, but not for themselves. And that is a major mistake.
When they first told me they were going to have to remove the breast, it wasn't easy for me at all. I had a ton of questions, because it's clear that the illness won't go by itself overnight. I also told myself that once the breast had been removed, it would be healthy. They all said it would be best to remove it so that I could be healthy.
My wife and I spent the night before the operation at the hospital. At 4 a.m. on the doctor's orders, I woke her up so she could get washed. She was then given some clothes. She went in for the surgery at around 11 a.m. and came out around 2 p.m. I was sitting outside the operating theatre since I wasn't allowed to go inside. She was sleeping when she was brought out and taken to another room. I was by her bedside until she woke up. I asked her what she wanted to eat, and I bought it for her.
Having coped with that and survived it, it spurred me on to support others. If I see someone in the same situation, I encourage them. I tell them, be strong. Look, I had mine removed and I'm going well. Even at the hospital, when I meet women who are going in for breast removal surgery, they ask me, did you have yours removed? And I say, yes, see, it's been removed, and here I am in good health. It will be okay. That's how I support and encourage others.
Every disease is sad and tiring, but the cancer which attacks women's femininity is more hurtful, more tiring.
Through tradition, woman is seen like a mother. So if she can't breastfeed, if she can't have children, she's not anymore woman.
I was always proud of my looks. Everything was in place, and suddenly I thought I would be left with one breast. It was really unpleasant, and it made me feel really bad. I found it myself, even though I certainly never checked myself regularly. I suddenly noticed something there and went to the doctor. He first told me it definitely wasn't anything serious, but it actually was. That was a big shock. I then underwent breast-preserving surgery, had radiation therapy, and was then firmly convinced it wouldn't come back. But after 4.5 years, it did, and my case was such that the second time around the breast had to be removed. That was also initially scary, of course. I think my first thought was this stupid cancer needs to go, and if the breast has to be removed for that to happen, then so be it. I think the proper thoughts only came afterwards, when the immediate risk, so to speak, had passed. And then you look at yourself and think, yikes, that looks pretty weird. It took me quite a while to get used to my body again. There's a big scar. It doesn't feel very nice. It may stretch. You somehow have to regain possession of your body. And what definitely helped me was the fact that I had so much support and care. I think if I'd received a negative response and people had indicated that I somehow wasn't quite right anymore, it would have been much more difficult.
Richtig, dann wäre das viel schwieriger gewesen.
Today, the surgeries are much better and much, the woman, the self-esteem of women and their families and their husbands or companions, it's much more bearable.
Ich glaube, heute ist Brustkrebs kein Tabu.
I don't think breast cancer is a taboo subject anymore, and I believe that plays a key role.
Weil wenn ich jetzt immer das Gefühl hätte, ich muss mich
If I ever felt I had to hide away out of sight, it would be much more stressful and unpleasant.
oder wäre nicht schön, während so habe ich das
The way things are, I feel like I am who I am, and if it bothers someone, that's their problem. I don't have to stress about trying to look different to the way I am.
anstrengen, anders auszusehen, als ich aussehe.
The cancer took our breast, our ovarian, but our soul is still there. Our smile is still there. Okay, he can took our hair also, but we will have new strong hair without color, yeah?
I knew that my hair will fall down. And I love my hair. I said to myself, as we say in Arabic, it's like the crown for the queen, the hair. For us, losing hair, it's like a big problem. What shall I do? So I read about brave women who shaved their hair. And this will never happen to an Arabic woman. But I did it. I asked the help of my sister to bring me the machine, and I did it myself. And when I looked...
Did your husband react?
At the beginning, I didn't show him. And in the night, I said to myself, why being stupid? Tell him. What would it change? So I told him, and he told me to show him. And he told me, you are as beautiful as before.
When my daughter gets married, I would have to wear a hat. My hair was always long on weddings, and now... So she told me, do you know what scarves we will get you? You will look beautiful.
My oldest daughter is 8. She felt I was changing more than anyone else, physically, in my clothes when I was sitting with them, because I didn't want my kids to feel I was sick or tired. On Mother's Day, I was wearing a scarf around my head. She knew my hair was gone. She wanted to give me hope to live, so she gave me a hairpin. A week ago, I put this hairpin in my hair. As soon as my hair grew,
Sexual life after cancer. They didn't speak about it. That after mastectomy, how the partner deal with hair without breast.
the body, the feeling, it takes time. You need the energy for it. You are not there yet. We'll get there. It'll happen. I believe it.
When you marry this woman, you marry her soul, her face, her power. But the cancer come, and she fight the cancer for herself and for you and for this house and for the children and for her life.
I see a huge difference between those women who have support from their family, from their husbands, and those who don't. A huge difference. They have much better chances to be cured and to overcome all the periods of the illness successfully.
Men need to understand that their wife's illness is usually their illness too, and that they need to support her financially, morally, in every way.
Financièrement, moralement, tout.
When it comes to our customs and the Catholic religion, if you're married, it's for the rest of your life until death do you part. The Mossi customs are such that you do not have the right to leave your wife without a valid motive. And illness is not one of them. That's because it's the wife who is sick. And if it were the husband who was sick, would the wife leave him? We have 5 children together. 1 is dead. I have 3 grandchildren. So if I left my wife, I would have been abandoning myself. Yes, I would have been abandoning myself.
يعني بالنسبة لي إذا ما ابتلي الإنسان يعني امرأة وابتليت ب
According to the Islamic law, the companion of a cancer patient should stand by her and not leave her, so that the woman does not experience any more negative feelings.
وأن يساندها حتى لا تشعر بأنها قد نقصت.
The husband walking out on her is another negative feeling, in addition to her disease.
وأن يبتليها فوق ابتلائها أنها الابتلاء الأول أنها المرض وابتلاء الثاني إذا ما تخلى عنها زوجها في مرضها.
I think we should take the approach that we say, this is the reality. It's a difficult reality, but now that it happened, what does God demand from me now? How can I continue and try to make the best out of this situation?
I see that.
Actually, even my mother, so her grandmother, had the disease. Her older sister and her biological mother had it too. So she is the 4th victim. When we remembered all of that, I was scared. She was too. So now our whole family is scared. 4 people have been struck with the same illness. The fear that haunts us.
In 10% of cases, breast cancer is hereditary, and that's something we're born with. It's not something we acquire after being born. We're born with it, because we inherit the problem from our parents.
My mother has a problem with her breast. It's something that worries me a lot. It's been detected in me and my children too. If this time it's me, I hope it's not my children next. I don't know what we would do.
When a woman has breast cancer, and there has been a history of the disease in the family, in other words, another case of breast cancer, we not only focus on the woman who is ill, but also those who don't yet have breast cancer. We call them in and explain to them what breast cancer is and how it may be passed from mother to daughter or father to daughter. In other words, in families where there have been multiple cases of breast cancer, as soon as the girls are 25, they start removing part of the breast.
We didn't have this advice, but all the children know it now.
an international language between the women they fight cancer. They have body language. Each of them, she know what the other feel.
Breast cancer, it just doesn't discriminate. It becomes a great equalizer. And I see this phenomenon in the waiting room of my department. There are women of means, there are women who are poor. There are women of an Arab background, there are Jewish women. There are multiple languages that are spoken there. But the common language that we're aware of is a language of fear. No one wants to be there, but they are there.
The tears are the same tears. The pain is the same pain, and you feel connected. Our hearts became truly connected.
Here, they all let go, and you could see that the looks don't count, nor the clothes, secular or religious, Ethiopian, Arab, Jewish. When women want to talk, they know how. They have things to say. They have a presence.
Being able to meet those women here and see that we share so many similarities. At the end of the day, we're just women. And I'm willing, I'm open, I want to listen. I want to hear what the other women have to say. I was able to connect with their story.
They see within the other a reflection of themselves, and that creates a desire to help that other person just like you would want to help yourself. And we pick each other up by the bootstraps.
We really believe that there's always a door that you can open, there's always a different perspective, and there's always a way of living that can carry you through the darkest times, the absolute darkest times. There's tremendous hope, and the challenge is revealing it.
So maybe cancer isn't such a curse. Maybe cancer isn't so evil. Maybe there is a true blessing in this terrible disease that can kill, but it can also bring us together.
3 years later.
I'm
finished with all the treatments. It encourages me to think how I saved myself. What scares me is the question of how I will meet the challenge if it happens to me again. But I tell myself, if I could get through it so far, I'll go through it again. I hope that it will never come back. But yes, there is fear.
بدي أوجه لهم نصيحة لكل السيدات اللي بيمرضوا بسرطان الثدي أو أي سرطان.
I give these words of advice to all women suffering from breast cancer or in general any other types of cancer. Do not give in to the illness or stop living, because I am living proof for them and I love to tell them about it, so they can look at me and see where I was before and where I am now. I began as a small business, which is now a big business. From what was considered a simple idea to get me out of my condition. God has sent me an illness, so my friend suggested to me, go out and do something. Work to forget what you are going through. I started from there, so I advise every woman who is diagnosed with cancer to not close the door and sit still at home, but to go out, play sports, start a project, swim, talk to people. I advise all women to turn to
To people who have been through the same experience.
يشوفوها. أنا بحب إنه رسالتي تصل كل العالم.
أنا إحساسي من جوا كان إنه عندي سرطان.
And remember, there is one important message. Breast cancer is curable, but shame can kill.
In memory of our friends who succumbed to their cancer during the filming of this movie, this is for you, for your families, and for the millions of women you may have saved. We're deeply thankful to the brave women who shared their stories, their struggles, and their hopes. Basic and reliable information about breast cancer awareness and self-detection, free with our DearMamma app, available in multiple languages and for the first time for illiterate women. Download it now from the Google Play Store and share it with all your friends.